is the goal to be perfect or to be excellent? The perfect is a never-ending, it's a Lexus. It's the relentless pursuit of perfection means you never arrive. So everyone on your team is there for a reason, even the ones we don't like. The ones you don't like, I've learned this over the years of being in church ministry for 45 years. Most of the people I don't like are very much like me. And so what we think is going to be this amazing, great thing, and we blew it. We blew the pastor's mic, we didn't get it on, we didn't have the right background up, or we did something. That's not a mistake. If you have done everything in your power to make it right, then it's part of God's plan. Well, thank you, guys. It is always my honor to be here and to work with the Churchfront team. We do about 35 church events a year, and this is one of our favorite ones because it's just so real. This entire organization is put together with one purpose, and that is to serve the church through you. So we're talking today about alligator bunnies and the joy of iced tea, and that's an odd title because the subtitle didn't quite fit, but basically this is how to deal with your leadership and what happens when you get hurt, and how do we move on, and how do we get along with everybody else. So we're going to knock that out in 24 minutes. But at first, everybody do this. You get your $20 and your free t-shirt. If you haven't done that, stop by the booth and grab that. And there's your alligator bunny on the left. And the idea is this. An alligator is not known for being soft and cuddly and warm, right? Alligators are tough. Their hide is tough. The exterior is tough. Everything about them is tough. And a bunny rabbit is the most gentle and sweet and endearing animal you can have as a person if you ever held a small bunny rabbit. So the whole idea is that we need to be as tough on the exterior as the alligator and as soft and warm on the interior as the bunny rabbit. And that is our goal. If you see the elephants there with their tough skin, and that is a mating pair of elephants, and you see that just love they have for each other. And finally, we're going to talk about iced tea because it's fun. So most of you know me, but if you're your first time here, I'm based in Atlanta, work for Sweetwater. I'm the live sound market manager. I've been in the industry for 45 years. I started in 1979. And I have had the honor for 27 years of serving at First Baptist Atlanta with Dr. Charles Stanley, and have been very blessed in a lot of areas. This is our front of house position. This is what we have every Sunday. It's a very complicated thing. We have a grand media director, Rusty Galloway, who handles things perfectly, just knows exactly what he's doing. Our audio director, Jason Singleton, he and I are partners in production companies, and it's just a great team. It's just really something. We have to pull this off every Sunday. It's a big, complex thing, but the idea is, hey, we're there to serve just as if it were any church. And the small church there is the church that I pastored for a long time. And talking about leadership is what we want to discuss. So on the bottom, that's when I was 6 years old, learning to frame up churches with my dad on the mission field. And on the left is Johnny Hunt, former president of the SBC, Southern Baptist Convention. And obviously there are some controversies on certain areas with a lot of leadership, as you've seen, especially lately. We always have to remember that leadership is at a high vulnerability position. So when you are a pastor of a church, you get attacked in ways you would never be attacked if you were simply in another role within the church. And so Johnny Hunt puts on these Timothy Barnabas pastors conferences. We worked with him for decades. And one time we were doing a big event for him, and our truck broke down, and we got stuck in traffic, and it was just horrible. And I'm driving the semi, and we roll in 2.5 hours late to the venue. We're supposed to be up and running that night. And I go to pull it back into the dock, and I look, and there's Johnny Hunt standing on the dock. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a bad day, because I know he's just going to let me have it. So we pull in, hit all the brakes, jump out. He says, fellas, I know you're here late for a reason. What can I do to help? And he helped us load in. Yeah. And so Jerry Falwell on the right there, and of course he's passed, but Jerry, of course, Dr. Falwell had a very big ministry for years. Of course, bigger than life kind of personality, same kind of reputation. And we were working an event, Paul Hendricks and I were working an event in Atlanta, and this is back when we had CRT video projectors. I mean, monsters. They weighed as much as a refrigerator. And we're two small guys. We're struggling trying to get this thing. We're in backstage because the projector had gone out, but it wasn't any other way to fix it but just to replace it. So we grabbed one and off we go. And we're coming around the back struggling with this, and Dr. Falwell's back in the green room, sees us through the open door, walks out and says, "Fellas, you need some help?" And he put it on his shoulders and walked it up the stairs. So that's what leadership does. And it's not always that type of an outcome, but the idea is, hey, there are certain parameters in play that we have today that we didn't have 50 years ago. So on the left there, you see what a typical church sound system was like 50 years ago. That was pretty easy. There's 6 knobs. You can't mess it up too much. And you see the organ there at the top. That was the sound system. And you see the stained glass. That was the video wall. Right? That's what it was. If you go out here to the altitude video wall, what are they showing? A stained glass. It's digital glass is all it is. And the photo on the right there is a church with the technology that we have today. So what we've learned is this: we have moved a long way, but the technology, while stable, is never perfect, right? It always breaks. The mic works fine till you need it, right? And part of that is thinking our way through this. How do we, as the technicians, the producers, the musicians, the worship pastors, how do we make this technology work and keep the technology from harming our relationships? The technology is there for a reason, but often it becomes the impediment to a relationship. So Monday night when we got here, David Winkert, who's with me from Sweetwater, we came, we set up the booth, and then we went and visited over in Aurora the Ethiopian Evangelical Church. They're a customer of David's. They bought a lot of things from him, and we met with Baruch, who's in the lower right there. And just walking around, seeing what they had. They put in a D-Live, this kind of stuff. And noticed there was a new video wall. Baruch said, "Oh yeah, the person that runs our video, the volunteer, we had old projectors, they were dying, there was not a capital fund available to get anything replaced. He took it upon himself. He raised the funds, bought the video wall, and put it in. And he's a volunteer in an Ethiopian church about 20 minutes from here." And that just struck me. That is dedication. That's ministry. And so everything that that person puts on that screen is a sacrifice of praise. There was something that took something out of him to achieve that goal. Now, this is 100 years ago in New Jersey. This is Billy Sunday's church. So Billy Sunday was an evangelist around the turn of the century who had been a professional baseball player. He's a shortstop, utility player, very quick, and he had a relationship with alcohol that was very tight. But then that became estranged, and he became a Christian and became an evangelical pastor. Small person about my size, had a very loud, squeaky voice. 2K would take your face off with it. Okay? But what he did is he built this building. This building seats around 5,000 people. It's all wood. And he spoke, and there's no PA. The acoustics of the room were so good and attuned to his voice so well that you could hear him unamplified in 5,000 seat rooms. Now, this room seats the same number of people and has about $2.5 million worth of audio, video, and lighting in it. So how did we go from here to here? Our buildings are not built like they were 100 years ago. 100 years ago, the buildings were built so that they naturally did what they were designed to do. This building is not. This building is designed to look cool. That's what it does, right? And because it looks cool, it sounds bad. And because it sounds bad, it doesn't have the right sight lines, and we have to IMAG everything, and we have to then use the lighting, the audio, and the video to then take what's here and distribute it out there. And there's always going to be a problem doing that. Now, the tech ministry as a whole is in a unique position because we're the people that make all this happen, right? And if you can imagine all the other ministries in the church, what if you had somebody that said, why do we need to buy a golf cart for the parking lot? Didn't God give us legs? Right? You ever traded some money? Do the toilets have to flush so loud? Don't they make quiet toilets? Man, this greeting thing is rough. It's like I have to make everybody happy. Yeah, welcome to sound, right? What's wrong with the church van that we bought in 1979? It still runs most of the time. It's like your old PV mixer in the back, right? I know the service is about to start, but we need to change the carpet color right now. My iPhone app says that it's too cold in here. It's going to damage my brain. You ever have people have, it's 112 dB. Yeah. I have a cousin who will do the preaching for free. There's no need to pay somebody. Obviously, that's all in jest, but just turning the tables on what we get every Sunday, right? So when working in church, there's a direct interaction with the leadership. It's usually short, and it's usually not pleasant. It's usually something like, I've decided to change this. I'm updating my notes 3 minutes before service. There's a constant creativity needed to produce those results. You can't just put up the same imagery you put up last time. You can't sing the same songs. And budget, of course, is always an issue. There are limited resources of both gear and people. There are only so many people to run camera on a Sunday. And you have a ratchet effect. That is, whatever you did last time is now ratcheted up, and you can't go back. If you do that again, that's going backwards. So it has to be better than it was. And sound is the original tech, so it should be easy. We've been doing amplified sound for 80 years. It should be easy, but it's not. It gets much more complicated. Lighting is assumed to exist. Nobody notices it until it goes out. And dividing that budget among all of our various needs is very difficult. Leadership understanding of what we do is very limited. And then video requires that larger commitment of resources. You can't put a cheap camera and make it look good. It just doesn't do it. And we always deal with this. Sunday's always coming, right? So it's already Wednesday. You know what happens tomorrow night, right? Tomorrow night is rehearsal, and everything better be ready. And that leads to exhaustion, which leads to stress, which leads to burnout. And you're going to get the plan early. It was so funny because I'm teaching an afternoon session on the difference between live mix and broadcast mix, or online streaming mix. And so I have some audio files. First thing this morning, I came back to the guys. I said, hey, here are the audio files. I'm going to get you now because it's now 7 hours before our event. And Adam said, don't worry about it. Hand it to them 3 minutes before they're used to it. It's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. And then everybody, of course, has to live on Planning Center Online, right? We all do. That's what your go-to is every day. Now, what is expected? This is a big deal. Leadership expects they go to an elevation tour, and they expect that in a 150-seat church, right? But only elevation is elevation. There are hundreds of people that are on staff and that are paid and volunteers, who do this every week. And we have 2 people, and one of them is 80 years old, right? That's what we have. And then Amber brought this up yesterday. Amber brought this up. She said, is the goal to be perfect or to be excellent? Right? The perfect is a never-ending, it's a Lexus. It's the relentless pursuit of perfection means you never arrive. You get into an infinity loop, right? So there you go. What resources in people and gear are available? You have to throw one of those in or people get really sick. So what do we have that we can deal with? And then finally, what is a mistake? Is a mistake when the pastor coughs and you fail to mute it within 6 microseconds? Or is it a mistake when you actually knock the laptop off and it falls on the floor? Those are funny. Right? Those make YouTube. Right? So between the hurt and the worth is this: always know the why. Galatians 6:9. There is a reason we do this. And of course, we know this on our heads. It's hard to know that 3 minutes before the service starts and things are going wrong. If we focus on the other people around us, we're going to lose track, because as well-intentioned as leadership is, they make errors. They make bad decisions because they don't have all the data. Worth is a function of being, not doing. This is what I love about Churchfront. Yes, we all love the cool gear, and we love New Gear Day from Sweetwater, and we get the box, and we open it up, and we pull out the candy, and then we put our head in, and we smell that nice electronic smell, right? That's fun. Gear is fun. But if all we are people who happen to run the gear, then we've missed the point. And Churchfront understands that. That's why so many of these sessions have been about the heart, have been about the ministry, about maintaining what we're doing. Nothing for Christ is in vain, 1 Corinthians 15:58. So there will be pain and suffering. If you've been in church tech for more than 5 minutes, you have suffered, right? You have suffered. So Psalm 34:18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit, meaning that it is a challenging endeavor by its nature. This is not pleasant. This is why we are first in and last out. This is why we wear black. This is why we stay in the back. It is not fun. All this stuff is heavy. It's expensive. It's difficult to deal with. It never behaves like it's supposed to. As well thought out as Remote Mix was, the guys there, Gordon was a little nervous that it might not work, right? It might not work. And it may have nothing to do with their product. It may be someone who is on a server somewhere in Saskatchewan and they unplug something accidentally. It could happen. The pain and suffering is also this, is that God is our merciful Father and the source of all of our comfort. He comforts us in all our troubles so that what? We can comfort others. There will be trouble. It's how you handle it and how you leverage the hurt. That's the key element. Is that if something goes wrong with audio, we don't, as lighting, go, I'm glad it's not me. We have to suffer together, right? We are a team, and we don't throw each other under the bus. That's audio's fault, right? You've seen those shirts, I'm the sound person, don't ask me about lights. I don't like those shirts. Don't like those shirts. So why does leadership hurt tech people? Something abrupt that is said. You have an hour-long service, you have 59 minutes and 57 seconds of perfect sound and 3 seconds of feedback. Guess what the Monday debrief is all about? That's what it's about. So when good people love this verse, and it's not intended as it's going to come out, but anyway, it's fun anyway. Because when good people run things, everybody's glad. But when the ruler's bad, everybody groans. And church leaders have no idea how all this stuff works. I have had senior pastors walk up to me at large pastor conferences as they're walking onto the stage, throw down their phone and say, "How many use some photos in there? I'll tell you which ones later." And I'll open it up. First, I have to get the password. I'm, texting, what's the password? Finally get in. There are 3,000 photos. I'm not that fast. I have to start listening to everything that pastor is saying, where they might go and say, okay, it might be these, might be these. You don't know. They assume that, boom, we can just make magic happen. Well, guess what? There's no magic here. But they have no idea. They don't know why it's so challenging. Their hurtful actions, this is key, are not intentional. It's not you. They just don't understand. And they're not supposed to. Any more than we need to be able to break down the Greek. Right? The idea is don't internalize it. Be the alligator. It rolls off. Because they have no concept. If you were to then play that video back to them of that interaction, they would have no recollection of it. And when they finish the service, they think you've done a wonderful thing. And you're walking away with a crushed spirit. And so we cannot allow that enemy to have that opening, right? We are a sealed chamber. And so Philippians 2:4 says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility. That's the key word to all of this, is humility. Count others more significant than ourselves. What is obvious to us that we have to fit the headset mic on is not obvious to them. We have to understand their perspective. They are so focused on what that ministry moment is going to be and that they don't fail in that for Christ that everything else becomes secondary. So the second part of this is looking at the whole idea of iced tea. Well, if you're from the South, it's going to be sweet. We're not going to put stevia in it. We often do a sun soak, that is, you steep it out in the sun. There are 100 variables. Do you put lime? Do you put lemon? Do you put none? right? Everyone has an idea of what their favorite version of tea is. It could even be, God forbid, hot. Why do you make it hot? They do. Okay, my wife does. And it could be strong or weak, but every one of those teas is valuable to someone in some way. That's our team. We're a bunch of tea heads, right? That's who we are. So getting along means, according to 1 Peter 4:10, is that as each one of us on the team has received a gift from God, that is, we can run lights, we can set stage, we can do backdrops, whatever it happens to be, we use that to minister to another person within the team, and then secondarily to other people, because we are good stewards of the manifold grace of God. So everyone on your team is there for a reason, even the ones we don't like. The ones you don't like, I have learned this over the years of being in church ministry for 45 years. Most of the people I don't like are very much like me. It's a big mirror. And you see it you go, I would never. And your wife or husband says, yeah, you do that a lot too. Oh. So speaking of my wife, she loves Downton Abbey and all that stuff, the crown and everything. And I would much rather watch Top Gear, and I want to see Hammond and Mays and, Jeremy Clarkson. That's what But she likes this stuff. And so we will watch it occasionally. And the thing that struck me, I assumed that this story is all about the rich people that own the big castle. It's not. The main story is about the servants who are in the kitchen and cleaning things and taking care of the stables. It's all about the tech crew. It's not about the pastors. That is an interesting thing, because that whole story is based upon the people that really know are the people you never see. And so the value lies in doing things that are unnoticed. Because if you do something that's noticed, what is that? If you do something that's unnoticed, God rewards. What's done in secret, God rewards in the open. And so keeping our humility about us, allowing God to work through us, not getting frustrated. Because you don't know what opportunity is an opportunity. So I was 17 years old in high school in the late 70s. I got a job at Burger King with my other buddies, like 4 of us. And we just, we love to close it down at 11 o'clock at night and just do stuff that you're stupid when you're 17 and working at Burger King. And I'd worked since I was 12. And I had a tradition, I would take my first paycheck and go buy something from my parents. So I was 17, got my first paycheck from Burger King, and went and cashed it. And I said, they need a ceiling fan in their master bedroom. So I went down to a local hardware store, and they had 1 or 2, and it wasn't much. And the person there wasn't very helpful. Went to Handy City. It was a bigger store, but nobody helped me. So I was driving along on 41 in Marietta, Georgia, on February the 7th, 1978, and saw this store, and I go, that used to be a Treasure Island, and Treasure Island was the lower cost version that competed with Kmart from JCPenney, but it had closed down. And so it said grand opening. I said, oh, that's cool. So pulled in there, and it was a hardware store. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I went in and got to talking to people, and they were very helpful, and this was their second day open. Met a man over in the lighting and fan area, and he introduced himself, and we chatted. And he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I need to get a ceiling fan for my parents, and I know they all have a long down rod, and I'm going to alter that and put it on the bandsaw and kick that off and then rewire it, and then I'm going to paint one side of the blades to match their decor, but I won't paint the other side in case they move, they can just flip it around. And he said, how do you know about this stuff? I said, well, I started framing up churches when I was 5 in Mexico with my parents. And he said, man, could you just come and work here? He said, we're just starting out, and we only have 24 employees. You'd be number 25. And I said, well, I got this great job at Burger King, and I get to hang out with all my buddies, and we're there till 2 in the morning, cleaning fryers. I'll pass. That man's name was Arthur Blank, and that was Home Depot. I turned down Arthur Blank for a job as the number 25 employee at Home Depot on their second day in business. I'm not bitter about that at all. I don't remember that it was exactly 3:23 p.m. I haven't done the math to figure out that, if I had simply gone on and then done all the stock purchase employee programs and all the splits that occurred through the 80s and 90s, that I would have $112 million in the bank. And I would be laying on my own island. I don't think about that at all. But you know what's funny? If I had done that, I wouldn't be here. So God has his own ways of doing things. And so what we think is going to be this amazing, great thing, and we blew it. We blew the pastor's mic. We didn't get it on. We didn't have the right background up, or we did something. That's not a mistake. If you have done everything in your power to make it right, then it's part of God's plan. He knew from the beginning of time that feedback would happen on October the 6th at your church at 11:33 a.m. for 7 seconds at 2.34 kilohertz. And he had all of eternity to stop that from happening. And he chose not to. It's okay. So in the departing words of Commander Peter Quincy Taggart, never give up, never surrender. Thank you.